the most unique case and touching case was also personally affected me.
Oh.
A friend of mine from high school was shot and killed by a police officer in Palm Beach. Just the dealing with the police union and dealing with the police department and the different machinations for them to just avert themselves of any responsibility was just like, man, this is the system that we have. It's messed up.
You're now tuning in to Unfiltered.
Is this on? I think this is good. All right, we good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we start Unfiltered. All right, so we have another podcast episode for you guys. Very special one. Promise you it won't be boring because we're going to talk about law. But we got the one and only Quaker Darfoor. I will let him introduce himself.
What's up, y'all? Well, Chris knows me, but I'm attorney Darfoor on all different social platforms. I have been in Florida practicing law for 14 years. What do we do, Chris?
A little bit of everything.
We're personal injury firm. So, when they say personal injury, some people don't know what that is. But that's, if you've been injured by someone else, right? It could be an accident. It could be you fall somewhere. It could be you get hit by a truck.
Yeah.
You're on a motorcycle and it crashes somewhere. Yeah. It could be you're walking down the flight of stairs from the airplane and you slip and So it could be any kind of injury that you suffer at the hands of someone else.
All I know is that if something bad has happened, which has had before, I have him on speed dial. Even if he doesn't practice that, this is the situation. What are we doing? It don't matter.
Are you sure? I got a couple calls from you, man. I received a couple calls.
Yeah. So, that's how much we trust you, man. So, and every time, we refer you straight to you. You do good work. So, but no, so thank you for being on the podcast with us. We want to make sure that we highlight entrepreneurs in Fort Lauderdale. And at the end of the day, if anything, you can kind of say we kind of started around the same time.
Yeah.
Literally, we started our offices. Shout out to Access Spaces in Access Spaces. And that's where we met.
Yeah,
many years ago.
11 years.
More, I think.
Yeah, it's been a long time. That was when my office was the size of maybe the bathroom space, right? Remember that office?
Yeah. It was yep.
Yeah.
It was so that's how it all started. And I remember you were like, hey, you guys do logos and branding? It's like, yeah. And then that was the when Darfoor Law was born.
Yeah.
And then we helped create the branding
first
for
website.
it.
You guys did
the
that.
website and everything. And then we just kind of grew from there. And I think that's what we share that common mentality when it comes to growing a business and then seeing how you go through the struggles and where you're at. And a lot of people think it's an overnight success.
Well,
listen, anything in the world can be an overnight success, like winning the lottery. You can go buy a ticket and be rich tomorrow. Yes. But the chances are so slim to none that you can't put your eggs in that basket. All right.
I tell people it took me 10 years, Chris, to become an overnight success.
Yeah. It takes time. It takes time. And with more experience, you become smarter in your industry, in your field, and you start maneuvering and you start thinking a different way than we were when we first started. Because when we first started, we were talking about all right, what do we got to do? We got to get clients. We got to do this. We got to do that. So, let's start there. How was it, let's go back memory lane when you first started the firm. How was that coming out of college and starting your own practice and you're on your own and getting clients and just going through the day-to-day business?
Well, you had a front row seat to some of it, right? So you saw how it was, man. It was a hustle. It was a grind, I'd be up late, early morning on Facebook back then, just putting up articles and, writing about different, areas of the law and my perspective. And I'd go to different events, shake people's hands. So it was just a guerrilla. I call that guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
Back
more
then.
Hands-on, more. That's exactly what it is. Yep. Now, when it comes to, during that time, did you feel a little discouraged because, you're just starting out and then you're driving and you see these billboards of these bigger companies that's been doing it for a long time. You're like, man, I'm not even 1% of what these guys are yet. How am I going to get clients when they're advertisement 24/7? So How did you go like that coming up being a lawyer for the first time on your own?
You know, I still see those billboards, right? And I still be like, man, you know, I wonder how much they're putting into some of these firms, $1 million a month. A month budget. So I never let that distract me because we all have our own lane and we all have our own, you know, journey. You know, I just had a different journey to get there, and I just let that play itself out, you know, did what I had to do. You know, obviously you know, it's tough. And sometimes you get frustrated because you're like, man, I'm doing all this work. You know, when am I going to see the big payoff? But, you know, you just keep doing the work and, you know, it's going to pop. You know, if you keep putting in the work, people that don't quit never lose.
And I think if you do the right thing and you do right by your clients, you know, word of mouth is very strong. And I think you're in you're in that type of industry where word of mouth just kind of is one of the marketing tactics that will help you in the long run, because with age, people go like, no, he's helped me for this, or he's helped my sister for that. You know, go here, go here, go here, well, just like a doctor.
I mean, I represented you, your mom, your dad, your business partner.
Literally.
Right? His brother. No joke. So, yeah, word of mouth is the best. Like they said, it's the best. Word of mouth is the best referral you can have. You know?
Exactly. Awesome. Now, when it came to you know, let's go back even a little bit further, the college days. So you went to Florida State first, then FAU, or was it?
Yeah, I started at FSU, my journey. You know, the first year I got there was a wild Tallahassee year.
Yeah, Tallahassee. Shout out Tallahassee.
Shout out to Tally, man. Cash Hall and Cash Hall crew and University Club. And that was the second run in national championship. So FSU won a national championship that year. And so you can imagine, I mean, Tallahassee already is wild, but when the football team is just balling, you can imagine how
that football team controls literally everybody's emotions for 3-4 months. The businesses will strive or they will die during those 3-4 months, literally.
They make their whole year. You know, and in that time frame. When the team is great, man, every hotel is sold out, every restaurant is booked. You know, and that's just that life it was. And then, you know, after 3 years there, I transferred to FAU, which was back then was a totally different experience.
It's not the same FAU it is now. It was still up and coming. They were doing the right things to get to the map, but they were. I mean, shout out to FAU. They've done a really good job of like really putting their stamp on the market when it comes to college and the collegiate.
Facts. I haven't heard anyone call it find another university in years now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That used to be that used to be the word on the street. Yeah. I mean, that's again. I think to touch upon that, I think it's branding. And then also them doing good right by their students and the program, and you know the people that are in charge of making the program. Another school that I'd never been to, but another school that put themselves on the map, FIU too. FIU, I remember it was like a joke school. I felt like I was going to a CTU or a Kaiser. I'm like, I'm not even looking at that school. I never heard of that school. You know, even UCF. Like I'm like, UCF, that's a brand new school. Nah. Now it's like they're starting to get the respect.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to get into those schools now, right? Like before, it's like, oh man, I can't get into anywhere else. Last second, let me apply here. Let me apply to FAU. Let me apply to FIU or UCF. Now those schools have tough to get in and just get accepted there. It's crazy how time has changed, man.
No, it's true. Times change. Times have changed. Tallahassee's unrecognizable. I mean, even here where we're at down in Fort Lauderdale and Boca, you know, it's not the same. I mean, they got a stadium now. There's a crowd. I mean, it's a lot going on, and it's cool. So speaking of times changing, how do you adapt with that when it comes to your industry? Because a lot of things change, including marketing to the types of clients, the types of accidents. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have self-driving cars that were on the road like that. So now it's like, hey, I got an accident. Who's the guy, that person? Well, a car. What do you mean? It's like, well, nobody was in the car, you know, so it was just driving by itself. So, you know, we're getting to a different digital age, right? So how does that reflect when it comes to law?
I mean, in so many ways, right? Like just even the way I market and advertise, right? Back 10 years ago, you didn't see barely anybody advertising on Instagram.
That's true.
You know, you didn't see that, right? Like you would just see people maybe make a post. But now it's like every firm that's forward thinking is doing some kind of advertising on socials. Right. In addition to maybe the traditional marketing, and some have just gotten away from that altogether. Like I've never advertised in print. You know, that's not my thing. That's like, to me, that's dead. But even people that advertise, you know, that's non-print, in the radio and TV. Now I know, like, now I got to advertise on social media. So that's just one way. And then just how technology is being used now in the practice of law, right? There's so many different AI software platforms that I use, and that, you know, small firms can use to be on the same page as a huge firm, right? Which makes you just a lot more efficient. And so that's, you know, that's what how I've been adapting.
It gives you a bigger reach too. I mean, to touch upon the AI, I mean, it gives you these tools that we never had access to before. And if you know how to use it in a way where it helps your business, that tool will multiply you in the sense of like having multiple people without having those multiple people, right? The computer's doing the work and all of that. Now you have to set it up right, and you have to make sure it's done right. It's not just copy paste ChatGPT, guys. That's what I mean, these kids nowadays just copy paste. They don't even read what they're saying. You know, it's good because you're able to stretch. Now, keep in mind, obviously, the bigger firms are going to be starting to use that. Now, not all of them. And I think that's going to be some firms, maybe not downfall, but maybe they're going to start teetering downwards, maybe revenue-wise, wherever, because these firms like yourself are going to start taking a bite of the market because you're using these new technologies, these new tools. The reason why I say that they're going to start driving down a little bit, because as a bigger firm, it's harder to move fast. They have to go through so many approval processes, the boards, the owner, this and that, and it could take months to years just for them to implement a new payroll system. You know, with you, it's just like, you know what? I'm the owner. I'm going to do it. Now, it's a risk, but at the same time, if it pays off, by the time they start doing that tactic, you're already light years ahead of them.
And sometimes that first mover advantage, right? Like, if you are the first person in it, you kind of stamp yourself in that arena, and it's harder. Even if they have all the resources, it's going to take them a lot more to catch up. You know, and even in our demand writing, like, you know, we used to, you know, take the documents, all the medical records, all the reports, and then literally type out a demand by looking at cutting and pasting. That could take, you know, a couple of days to a week. Now you can write a demand in 30 minutes, right, using AI and software.
It's, I mean, even doctors are using it now. My doctor literally has a tablet, and he's like, you mind if I record? I'm like, sure. He records the whole thing, and then I get a summary of what we talked about and what we're doing like 20 minutes after the appointment. There's no way he wrote that up that fast.
No. I mean, look at automation, or look at chat bots, right? I'm just still learning about that type of stuff, right? But literally, you think you're talking to somebody real. Before, you used to go on maybe on someone's website, fill something out, and then wait. You have to wait to get a call back. Now it's instantaneous, where literally you can be speaking to a chat bot. You tell them what's wrong, and they send you the documents as you're talking to them. You fill it out and send it right back to them, and you haven't even talked to a human.
It's good, but it's also scary good. I mean, it's you know, I mean, I think a lot of people are worried of like, oh, my job's gonna be taken over and stuff like that. I mean, the people that are just starting out in that type of level of industry, let's say you want to be a graphic designer, you need to learn a lot of things a lot quicker, and then learn how to use the tools to help you. But if you just kind of like, oh, I only do birthday flyers and that's all I do,
no,
you're not going to survive in that industry anymore. Before, you were the only option or part of, you know, but now it's like we have so many options that can do it, you know, and even for free. But yeah, so I know Kayla had some questions that she wanted to dive into.
So I had heard a little bit about a truck accident case that you had done. Can you share what went through your mind when you won a $2 million settlement in that truck accident case? Like, how did that affect you, and how did that affect your client? You know, what you can share about that.
Well, I was just so happy that my client could really not worry about the injury and it financially impacting his life, right? He still has to deal with the physical, you know, conditions and so forth, and those injuries and damages. But, you know, he trusted our firm from the very beginning. I told him, I mean, he would call me like every other week, and I'd be like, we got this. Just do your part. We got this. And you know, over the course of 2 years, I was able to build a real relationship with my client, that now he can call me. He calls me for other stuff, right? He calls me just to, you know, ask me an opinion, or just to chop it up, you know. But so it became like, you know, he became like a family member. I had to get to know him, you know, his daily routine, you know, how his day went, and presented a real story to the insurance company, not just like, here are his records and here's his bills. Like, this is a real story, and we got to talk to people that, he knows and works with and are in his life daily to see how the accident has affected and changed him.
Okay.
Right? Like you're not the same after. You can never be, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that, we were able to get him, $2 million settlement, at least we were able to provide him some financial security. It's hard work, and I felt, there's nothing better feeling than handing life-changing type of money to somebody who didn't do anything to be in that situation. It was not their fault at all.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, wonderful. So I am curious about what the most shocking misconception that people have about personal injury law is. Just because, I've heard things, you see commercials and things like that online, and you see them on TV, and I'm kind of curious, like, what's the misconception there?
Well, one probably misconception is everybody thinks, or a lot of people think it's a huge payday. When they get in an accident, right? Like, oh man, I'm about to get my $1 million. And 9 times out of 10, you don't want to be that person that gets $1 million because they've suffered some very horrific type of injuries. And if you're getting, that 7 figures and up type of money, you've actually suffered some real serious injury. And so when you look at that, it's not like somebody just fender bender, somebody rear-ended you and you're getting $1 million. That's not how it goes. A lot of people feel like, man, I got in an accident. I feel I'm in pain and I don't feel good, so I'm going to get paid. No, they have to have the right insurance, right? The person that hit you. So if they don't even have the right insurance coverage and, you don't have extra coverage, right? I'll say, you're never going to see that. That's just one aspect of it. There's so many other different aspects that go into, building those kind of 7-figure cases.
But that's correct. And I think this is where advertisement kind of doesn't set the picture correct because there's billboards out there. Without mentioning companies, says $3 million settlement, $1 million settlement. There's a happy person right there. And you're like, oh, that could be me. That's what they're kind of selling. Now, they're not saying that. They're just saying that's what the settlement was. But it makes the picture being drawn of like people like, well, if I get in a car accident, that could be me. I'll be happy. I'll make all this money. And they don't understand that there's, costs. There's the lawyer fees, the medical costs. Surgeries that needs to be. And at the end of the day, yes, okay, they get the lump sum remaining. You are probably living with a disability or something that, to get it to that level, So are you okay with walking around with one arm or a limp in your leg or your back is broken for the rest of your, that's where you kind of have to weigh the options. And people think it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna say I'm sore and I'm fine, And now to touch on this, how strict has insurance companies become when it comes to these ticky-tack car accidents of just, because I feel like back maybe 10, 15 years ago, it was a little bit different. Like the process may have been a little smoother, and correct me if I'm wrong, versus now where it's happening so much, more accidents. It's that type of accident of fender bender is so common. It's like going to the doctor and saying you have a cold. The cold back in the days used to be very deadly. Now it's like, you'll be fine. Just take this.
So, good question. The insurance companies have really tightened up on how they handle, lower damage, lower level type of claims, right? And also you have like Florida, the laws that have been passed, the tort reform, that make it so much harder for us as injury attorneys to sue them for what's called bad faith. So they're not scared, really, the insurance companies anymore. They will deny and they'll delay and they'll, make you fight and scratch to get something that, 10 years ago that it was like, all right, this happened. Here's the check, that's just, some people say it's good for the business and good for the industry. I say, they make it harder for the people that are really deserving of, of payments or to be compensated to get that,
Yeah, I think if anything, maybe there's a lot of, because I know there's a lot of cases everywhere. If anything, Florida's known for, so we're growing so much that there's so many people that are moving here, and they don't know if you don't know how to drive, you got to figure out how to drive in Florida before you come here because fender benders happen all day.
There's a stretch in 95 in Broward that is the most deadliest stretch in the country.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. The most accidents happen right there. So you got to be on your P's and Q's and alert, Even if you have these self-driving car, you got to stay alert, because it's a machine after all, and machines fail.
But in the event of like an accident like that, what is something critical that people should know? Most people don't know their rights when they get in an accident like that. Like, what should they know?
Well, they should know that they should probably just first see a medical practitioner, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you have if you have insurance, you have benefits that cover,
Mm-hmm.
your treatment to seeing a medical practitioner.
Yeah.
So don't feel like, oh man, I can't afford it. No, you pay insurance for that reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're okay. You don't want to be walking around, you got internal bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, or you got something, a nerve damage or something, and you just feel like, oh, I'm going to get over it. It's just a little ache, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also securing like whatever information you can at the time, right? If there's any witnesses, because people's stories change down the line.
Yes.
So securing whatever you can as far as, if there's any witnesses, any pictures, any, if they say something to you, the person that hit you, secure all of that information, because down the line, it always happens when it's time for us to, let's say, litigate. Oh, now they've been coached. Their defense counsel or the insurance adjuster, whoever has coached them, and it's a totally different story at that point. And then also, make sure that you find a competent, good lawyer that actually specializes in doing this. I've seen, unfortunately, times where somebody hires an attorney that's not a specialist in this field, and they're mad, they're upset, and it looks bad for all lawyers, right? Because now they think, oh man, these lawyers are just after the payday here, and they screwed me. No, make sure that you research and you find a lawyer that's not a novice, or that's not dibbling and dabbling in this practice area, but actually this is their niche expertise area.
Okay. Very good. Well, that's great to know, actually.
Yeah.
And, I kind of want to follow that up with something that I'm sure you maybe get asked a bit. What's the most outrageous case you've worked on? And what did you learn from it?
Outrageous? Well, I don't know if it's, I'll say outrageous, but the most unique case and touching case was actually also personally affected me. A friend of mine from high school was shot and killed by a police officer in Palm Beach Gardens.
So
It was in 2015.
That's Corey, right?
Corey, Corey Jones. And just the dealing with the police union and dealing with the police department and the different machinations for them to just avert themselves of any responsibility was just like, man, this is the system that we have. It's messed up, this dude did something wrong. He killed someone. He did something wrong, and you guys are trying to help him or cover it up or deny liability for it. And it took us 8 years to get his family, full justice and full compensation.
I remember that case. I don't know Corey personally or nothing like that or his family, but I think as a lawyer, everybody's hunting for that big case, right? And then I guess, would you say that's the first big case that kind of landed? It was very personal, the fact that, as a friend, family, and then how long it was, right? And it just got dragged up because of the way the system is and things like that. When it, if I drop something and then I'm saying I didn't drop anything, it's kind of like, are you serious? We saw you drop something. It kind of feels like it should be a lot sooner and quicker. So, I think finally justice was served, when it came to the results. But that's something that, I followed you through the journey. That started during Access Spaces.
It did.
That was literally the one of the first, I was just and then when I heard the story, and then once you said, actually, that's a friend of mine. It's not just a client.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's tough because, it's personal now.
Yeah.
It's just
and that's how I felt and took it, right? I dealt with it. There was a couple other attorneys, on the case as well. But when you, go to school with someone, when you, play on a sports team with someone, when you see someone grow up, not saying I care about all my clients and their cases, but this one, it touched me on a deeper level. And so, I was hell bent on we're going to get to the bottom of this. And if we need to get the people out on the street, if we need to get the people to speak, they will. And they did. They showed up. The community showed up huge.
Yeah, that case I do. Yeah, I remember. You guys had rallies in Tallahassee and stuff like that. It wasn't. Yeah, this wasn't a case that was just one day. No, it was a big deal. So, so moving from that, I want to touch base. I want to take it back to your roots. So you're from Ghana, right?
Yes.
So when did you come to the United States, how old were you? You know, were you already like, you know, going into college right away? Did you do high school here? And then what made you, where did you end up actually landing first? Did you come to Florida first or?
No, so my fam moved to Maryland.
Okay.
I was 6 years old when I came here from Ghana, and we were living in Maryland. We lived in Maryland from age 6 till I was 15. So essentially, I tell people, yeah, I grew up in Maryland.
Yeah.
Right. But then we moved to South Florida when I was 15, and that was a whole culture shock.
Yeah.
For me, coming from the mid-Atlantic to
Yeah.
to the South,
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, this is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is real different. But you know, in hindsight, just being able to grow up in different places exposed me to a lot
Yeah.
more
Mhm.
and allowed me to connect with people from every walk of life.
Yeah.
Right. So and
Mhm.
the advantage of the joy is now I have friends that live all over the country
Yeah.
and even
Yeah.
all over the world.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, that's how I landed here in Florida, and that was what, 96.
Okay.
And I'm the only family member still living in Florida.
Yeah.
The rest all moved away, but I couldn't give up this tropical lifestyle, the beach lifestyle, like the laid back. I just love, that's my
Yeah.
vibe, you know?
Yeah, because obviously you were in college here for a time, you know, even Upper Florida, but then even down here when you came to FAU. At that point, you could have made a decision to practice anywhere, you know. Then you have to take the exam and everything. But yeah, I mean, that I guess you kind of answered the question, and that I was going to ask was why stay here? I guess the tropical.
Yeah, I mean, my friend, I had my friends trying to convince me, hey, you should come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, and then my sibling, that was my sister in Maryland, was like, you can come to Maryland. I actually went to Maryland after law school for like 2.5 years.
Okay.
But that weather, that boy was kicking my ass,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, one day I just got hit by a cold like gust. I was standing at the train station. I was like, this is not it.
No.
This is not it. So I was like packed up, and I'm like, I'm coming back to South Florida. I don't care what I don't have.
Yeah.
Somehow I'll figure it out, you know?
How does it work? Like when you pass the bar here in Florida, let's say you want to go work in another state, you have to.
You have to get admitted in that other state.
Oh,
So
wow.
Florida, unfortunately, Florida does not have what's called reciprocity with any other state. So they don't, like Florida doesn't take the other state's credentials and allow their attorneys to get licensed in Florida. So then they don't also allow Florida attorneys to do the same.
Wow.
So if I want to go live in Maryland, I would have to take the bar in Maryland instead of, you know, other states have reciprocity.
Yeah.
So you can waive in, you know, you can just do like sign some documents.
Yeah.
They do your background check, and then they'll give you the admission.
Okay.
That's similar in architecture too. I mean, I think it's because just things are different down here. And you know, so like for example, if you build a house here, we have hurricanes. You can't build it the way you build it in Arizona or something like that, where it's mainly wood or whatever. It's just like they don't get hurricanes, so you kind of have to know. So I think it's a good thing, but it's also like it puts that hurdle and it limits you. So like if you go to school here, you kind of have to make a decision. You're like students nowadays that are going to law school, they got to decide: do I want to stay here for some time? I mean, yeah, you can always take the bar again. But you know, do you want to go through that struggle?
I don't want to take the bar.
That's a lot of tests.
You know,
That's a lot of tests.
I'm like, I'm good. Some people love taking, not love, but they have, you know, multiple bar admissions, and they taking 5, 6, 7, 8 bars. It's stressful just to study for it. You know, you know, just to sit down and like focus for that time and put your life on hold. You know, some people are able to do it in work. I was like, I put all my you know effort into it, and I don't want to do that again.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it was touching upon the bar. I think I lost my question. It was a good one. I'll let Kelly go take it from
All
there.
right. Yeah. I do want to talk a little bit more about your roots. So, coming from Ghana and achieving success here, you know, what cultural challenges did you face in your career, and you know, if you faced any, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I mean, it's actually growing up here, so I was assimilated, I guess, to American culture very early, and like I understood it versus some people that come like, you know, after college or even after high school. It's a little tougher. I understood the nuances, and you know, in corporate culture, you know, I just knew that from my upbringing, I didn't want to work for someone else. So it was hard for me to be in a corporate environment because that was never my end goal. So I would always be like so ready and just like not happy in that kind of place, and like this is like wasting my time. But it taught me a lot of things too, right? Like
That's true.
on the other side, how to be a boss or how to, how to manage people as well.
Yeah.
Because what kind of manager do you want to be? What kind of boss do you want to be? What kind of owner of a company do you want to be? Do you want people to come in and they just are dreading coming in there? They're just looking at the clock like, I can't wait to get home. Or do you want it to be a place where they like look forward to because you're welcoming, they feel comfortable, they're confident, when they come into work.
Yeah.
So I remember what I was thinking. I don't know if this is true, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard from other lawyer friends that I have that there's like a unwritten rule that if you pass the bar, you're supposed to go buy a certain Rolex. I don't know what type of Rolex it is. Is this true? Is this like a thing on the street? Like,
no, I didn't get this Rolex after I passed the bar. I actually just bought this Rolex probably a couple of years ago. And in the
but is that a thing? Like, is that a thing that you hear in school? Like, hey man, like you pass the bar, you got to get this.
Most
Rolex.
lawyers that pass the bar can't afford a Rolex.
That's what I figured. I'm just like,
I was gonna say you haven't even started.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe in certain, I never got to those type of echelons or firms.
And it's not like a high end roller. It's like an entry level, but it's like I have.
It's still a Rolex.
It's still a Rolex. It's still gonna drop 5-6 bands, right? On it. So no, I wish I could have got a Rolex when I passed the bar. My treat to me was just going on a small vacation somewhere, buying my flight and going on a small vacation. When I came back, I still had no money, so there was no Rolex in that time frame for me, man. But when when you hit a big case like in personal injury, like then people, your colleagues and stuff, you feel like, all right, well, I want to do something, I want to celebrate it somehow, so. It's like all right, I'm a successful professional. What shows that I'm successful? People say, "Oh, go get a Rolex."
Got it.
And
no, I just wanted to kind of like debunk that, or I wasn't sure if that was like a thing. Like you had to like save your money for it. And then just random. Were you born on a Wednesday?
Yes, I was. So you know about our naming system then.
So so that's the thing. So I guess you want to explain about that, like in Ghana, how that works?
So in our culture in Ghana, it's the Akan culture. I'm actually like both. I'm an Akan and I'm also a Ga. But in the Akan culture, they have a naming system that they use for the day of the week that you were born, right? From all the days, all 7 days, and there's one for boys, one for girls, and then based on even let's say your tribe, right? Because you have the big clan and then you have the tribe. The tribes can vary it, right? So the spelling can be a little like Kojo can be spelled Kojo, Kojo, and it's spelled Kwadjo. It's pronounced the same. So I was born on Wednesday, and Kwaku is the Wednesday born name, right? And so my parents decided to give me the traditional Wednesday born name. My son, Kwame,
you followed that with your son too?
I followed it with him. They're like, oh, why don't you give him a junior? I'm like, unless he's born on a Wednesday, I can't really give him a junior because I could, but like people will be like, wait, weren't you born on a Wednesday? And then he has to. So no, he was born on Saturday, and so his name's Kwame.
I learned this because as I was going into like your group of friends, you're like, hey man, it's my boy Kwaku, Kwaku, and I'm like, are you guys tripping with me? Or everybody's Kwaku. I'm like, I'm confused here. And then I kind of noticed you guys kind of give yourself like nickname like Quay or K and all. And I'm just like, what's going on? So finally, I actually found out about it on Shark Tank. Actually, there was somebody from Ghana that went on Shark Tank, and he was Kwaku, and I was like, are you kidding me? and then the shark was like, you're born on Wednesdays. And how do you know? And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. So
you'll find everyone has a nickname, right? Like my best friend is also Kwaku. So imagine like growing up, right? Like wait, you say Kwaku, who's who, right?
Yeah.
His family call him Cuckoo, and then I called him KG, and then like my dad is named Kwesi. That's his name, right? But you're like, wait, why is he called Chester? Well, he had to have a nickname because there's 25, 50 other Kwesis in his grade or his class. So somebody has to differentiate. So you'll realize like, wait, why this person has a nickname? This person, everybody has a nickname.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's
wild.
Now, sticking on your culture with Ghana, now I feel like the whole entire world it's a lot smaller in the sense that it's so easy to just travel, just pick up and go on a plane, and then you're pretty much there. So marketing, networking, business in the sense is kind of like connecting versus before is like, oh, you do business international. You're either a big person or you're like, yeah, you're so far away. I don't even need to talk about it. I'm never gonna do that. Now it's just like you can do business in other places in the world, and it's a lot easier to do it being here in the United States.
Absolutely.
So are you in any business ventures outside of the United States or maybe investments or something like that because of the fact that you can kind of do it a little bit quicker and it's easier to do?
Yeah, man. We have some real estate ventures going right now in Ghana, right? So I have a condo that this year is going to be done.
Nice.
So I'm going to be enjoying that this year. I also have another real estate venture with my siblings, which is finishing my dad's house that he started. So yeah, I want to turn that. It's like a 10-unit commercial
Nice.
building close to the sea, and I want to make it like a tech kind of hub place, because in that city where it's located, the Ghana and UAE just signed a $1 billion memo under understanding MOU to build Africa's largest tech city. So it's going to be like, our idea is like a tech hub where, people in the tech space can come and they can stay there.
Like Silicon Valley over there, pretty much.
Yeah, and this is like in the nascent stages. It's kind of just starting, but the property that we have, kind of like, I wanted us to use it to attract folks in the tech space.
Yeah, it's good to get in early. I mean, especially if they're investing that much money into it. I think it's gonna, take time to get started, but I think eventually it'll just kind of pop off.
Oh yeah, and if they follow through with it, right? Like where I'm at, it's so much happening right there. They've expanded the road and lengthened the roads there, and there's so much buildings. There's so many like African Americans, Jamaicans that are coming to settle and building there. And it's like 45 minutes outside the city, so you're not dealing with like the congestion and all of that and the high prices right now of the city. So in the next 5-10 years, I see it's going to be like major.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. I know recently, I think it was this previous season, I want to touch upon NIL deals. I think you were part of one, right, with FAU. So do you think that, now that NCAA has allowed to, the students to get paid, through sponsorships and endorsements and stuff like that, do you think it's good for the NCAA and sports, or now that we have seen years, we have like time to look at it like, all right, does this make sense or not? Because remember before, the word on the street was pay the players,
right?
And now it's just like, all right, I think this is kind of messing things up. Look what's happening with some players. Like, I think what's the guy from the draft, Ace or whatever, and he's like,
Ace Bailey,
and he's like, oh, I don't want to go to Utah or whatever. Kind of like it's starting to ruin like who you really are. I mean,
so I think that there's two different sides, and then there's two different ways they're getting paid, right? The NCAA allows the school to pay the players directly, right? But also the NIL is really them allowing the players to benefit off of their likeness and their image, right? So it's just like any company. If you can get sponsors for yourself, what's wrong with that, right? Like these people are in college, they're learning marketing skills, right? How to market, how to brand, how to promote themselves. I don't think that part is wrong. And in fact, student athletes have been getting taken advantage of for so many years. I mean, NCAA is a multi-billion-dollar empire.
Billion. A lot of people don't know that.
With a B, empire, and the students were getting zero, nothing. They're like, oh, you're getting your scholarship. Yeah, but they have to be in practice from 5 a.m. 3 times a week. They don't have they get to enjoy extracurricular activities like other students. They're like, oh well, I get a scholarship. Well, if you're on an academic scholarship, it doesn't seek all your time like that. You still get the opportunity to participate in other things. So I think it's a game changer. Some people say it's ruined the game, that the small schools like the mid majors are going to get priced out. But look at FAU had a run. Our players left, right? But that's just how things are going. They get to rebuild, right? But now you see donors are pumping more into FAU now, right? Like we just were granted $5 million into some kind of NIL type of program. So you're going to see the caliber of the programs also increase at the mid majors, because now donors know, like, well, all right, we have to support these student athletes, or else they're going to go to Florida, or they're going to go to San Diego State, or they're going to go to Arkansas and Wisconsin. Let's try and keep them here by supporting them. And we have an alumni base, right? Like FAU's been around since the 1960s. the other schools, UCF, USF, they've been around for a while. They have alumni that can donate and help that. So I think it's a great thing for sports in college.
I think it leveled the playing field in a way. Like using football as an example, right? If you were a football player in high school, one of the schools that you wanted to go to was like Alabama or something like that because of the fact that you have Nick Saban there. You're like, that's my ticket to get to the NFL. So if you were like the best of the player, you just knew you were going there or one of those caliber type schools. Now it's like, wait, I can go to another school and make some money and still get the exposure. So it kind of like, instead of all having like these stacked teams that, you have like the Florida Gators with Tebow days and then, all these teams that just stacked. Because they were, I mean, if you really look at it, they were really stacked. Now the teams that are winning the championship, they're good. They're great teams, but they're not as stacked as they were before because they were all bunched up together. I mean,
it levels the playing field too.
Exactly.
Right. So like now you don't have to go early you don't have to declare for the draft early. Right. To go in because you're coming from a precarious situation and your family needs help. So after 1 year you have to go. Now you can stay and earn that money that you would have earned in your rookie contract and become better. And it makes the product better at college level because you have athletes staying longer and building a team. You can still elect to leave early, and some of these athletes get bad advice and leave early and leave millions on the table and don't get drafted. It happened to the kid from St. John's. He had a $3 million NIL deal. Some advisor told him, I think you'll get drafted in this part of the draft in the first round. And so he left. He can't go back to get that $3 million deal now. Right. So it has that effect as well. In that he had gotten bad advice and he left. You look at Cooper Flagg. Well, everybody knew he was going to be #1 pick. So he left his $8 or $10 million that he was going to get in NIL to go to NBA to go sign probably I don't know what his endorsement deal is. I'm sure it's probably $50-100 million endorsement deal plus his contract.
No, that's true. I mean, it's money talks sometimes. So. I mean, at least the players are getting. I'm sure the the retired players now they're like, man, I wish I can go back.
I mean, it always changes because I'm sure even when Magic and Bird and those guys started getting $1 million contracts, the players before them were like, man,
exactly.
And now they're looking at these current players like, man, you guys are getting millions in college.
Well, I mean, I think Jordan said it or one of the guys where it's like. When Zion Williamson signed on a $100 million Nike contract before he even played one NBA game, everybody's like, you haven't even played one game. Like, you did a great job in college and in high school, but you can get injured tomorrow. And, that's Nike taking their risk.
Of course. And Nike's done their homework. Right? Like, they've done their homework. Trust me, before they say they're going to pay this athlete, this much. It might be there's stipulation in the contract that if you get a career-ending injury, we can claw back, this much money, or you have to sell this money shoes or jerseys before you're entitled.
It's happened. I mean, it's happened to big names. It's happened to Kobe one time with the whole scandal. It happened to Tiger Woods. And then they had these like forever
morality clauses.
They had these forever contracts that all of a sudden disappeared. You're like, wait, I thought it was a forever thing. It's like, well, yeah, but you did this and that. And those contracts, I'm sure, are books.
They got big deal lawyers working on those contracts, and Nike's not gonna just on a whim they've done their homework and they've made sure that they're covered. Their risks are limited in there.
100%. Now, when it comes to your industry, because you're in the law industry, right? So how do you make yourself stay relevant on social media, but also talk about topics that are very important, but not be boring?
It's a balance, right? Because you got to give the people what they want. And then you kind of on the back end give them what they need. Right. And I something that you have to learn. Like, all right, you might be giving valuable content, but it's not reaching them because they need some kind of hook in first, right? So you got to balance it, and that's how I figured out. Like, all right, I give the people, and there's so many different channels, right? We have blogs, we got our website has stuff. We have a newsletter that goes out. We have the social media posts. So some of it is funny and some of it is very serious, important information. And I just, balance, and I'm still trying to balance it, but balancing that out so that you still get people that are staying tuned to it and are tuned in. Otherwise, you've been putting out all this, what you deem is valuable content. It could be, but they're not tuned in.
Yeah.
You know?
No, because there's other lawyers that what they try to do, and I've seen is like they're like the funny lawyer, right? And it's like, and they have millions of views and all this, and that's great. But the thing is, like, at some point, you also got to be respected. It's like, that's great, you're an entertainment lawyer on TikTok, but I don't know if I'm gonna call you. You know, like, you give me good advice the way you do the videos, but when a situation actually happens, you want the people that are. That's why lawyers in a lot of the billboards and signs say we're the serious lawyers, we're the attorney. It's kind of cheesy, but the purpose that you guys are trying to come across is like, we're going to handle your business.
Yeah.
You, at the end of the day, if you're going to war and you're going to fight, you want the big guns.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying big company, but like, you want the people that are they're going to die for you pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's why you see all these, like, you know, billboards of like John and Jim, and it's like, you know, mean face and we're going to fight for your rights and all that stuff. So that, how do you know, balancing that is super important. You give them entertainment, but then you also, like, you can't ruin your image.
Right. So like, I will, you know, film myself getting ready for deposition or mediation, and I'll explain like what's about to happen, why it's important, or I'll discuss a certain part of the case on social platform or social media. Like, you know, I write something about, all right, you know, we had this motion, and this is why this motion was important, and this is, you know, what we did to prep for it, and this is all the information, and this is the cases. It's just so, all right, it gives them that kind of, we're serious. We're not just, you know, here to joke and play, and we're really great attorneys, right? We get great results. So I'll showcase our results as well, you know, and then I'll put it in something funny, and, you know, I'll come back and say, all right, this is how we got to this result. Yeah. Right? This is the process. This is what we had to do. This is what we had to get from the defense or show, prove, and so forth. And that is how I try to balance it, like show our serious side, right, in how we perform our work, how we do our work, and then our funny side, and like, you know, funny skits and commercials.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
All right. I wanted to know, what is one mistake that lawyers make when trying to connect with clients online? Whether it's like pursuing a new lead and you're hitting them up through a chat box, or, you know, a DM request, you know, what's something that maybe you have done and you're like, yeah, this doesn't work, you know?
I think a personal touch in the very beginning is very crucial, right? Like, we have the chat bot, we have this, but ultimately the client gets very frustrated if they don't speak to somebody live, right? And oftentimes it's the lawyer, or they want to speak to the lawyer oftentimes, but it doesn't have to be, right? It can be your support staff, but they have to feel like, you know, that they can, if they call, someone's going to hear them and speak to them and listen to them. So that's one thing that, you know, my staff, I make sure that, hey, we touch base and actually physically speak, you know, have a contact conversation with somebody, with the client in the very early stages, you know, the first day or two.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to let them know that you're there for them, the presence, and then obviously, you know, get the details that you need to see if you can help them and what you know, pretty much qualify them.
On the marketing side, I mean, everybody does it differently, right? But like, you have to give them what they want before you can give them what they need, right?
Yeah.
So you just can't go and say, oh, I'm going to do these and it's important. Well, it might not reach anybody because it's important to you. But what's important to them? Maybe they want to laugh. Right? And they want to have some humor because they're stressed. And then you go and hit them with some other information.
That's true. Now, would you say in your field, networking is very critical?
I can't underestimate it, because you work with, we work with the whole ecosystem of professionals, right? We work with doctors, we work with experts, biomechanical experts, we work with a whole bunch of different people, and you want to be able to say that you know the best, right? Also within other lawyers, because you're going to end up working on cases, co-counseling cases with other attorneys, and you want to have an array of selection of attorneys that you can reach out to, and also to refer cases to, right? Because a lot of people don't know, like, this is your specialty. A lot of people think you're a lawyer, so you can handle divorces, and you can handle my real estate transaction, and you can handle a will. No, it doesn't. So it's important to network so that when someone calls me, I know and I can refer them to someone with incredible, trust that they're going to take care of them.
No, I think that's super important. I mean, networking, whether it's and would you say it's best to kind of even start early, as like when you're still in school and law school? I mean, the earlier the better.
I've been networking since I was born,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
I just always knew the power of relationships, and
Mhm.
I also genuinely like getting to know people, right?
Yeah.
When people think networking, they think, oh, I'm going to get someone's card,
Mm.
and then we're going to exchange an email, and then we've networked.
You just
Yeah.
never know who's who. I always tell people, like, don't burn any bridges.
Mm.
You never know who's who, and then also when you meet that person for the first time in their life, they may not be where they're going to be later on, and that person might be the one that's going to really help you, whether they became a lawyer or a doctor, and you're like, man, Jimmy, the guy I met at that party, I thought he was not going to do anything with his life, and little you know, he's the best lawyer there is or whatever, and you need him, and now you're like, dang, I burned that bridge because I kind of like, cut him off.
Yeah.
So you got, you just never know, and especially now, you see it happen so fast because with technology and with the fact that you can go to school, get a degree, and then just kind of make business happen. One person one day is working at McDonald's, the next day they have their own business and they're very successful.
Yeah.
So you just never know who you want to, get in bed in business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to make sure it's a good relationship.
And you never know who's going to be who, right? But also, like, I tell people, like, networking is not like, what can someone do for me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not networking. Networking is mutual beneficial, right? And I say, try and help that person first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try and offer something. Try and see how you can help them. You're right. And it's not going to be like tit for tat. Like you're genuinely helping someone because you want to help them. And if it pays off in that they think about you down the line because you helped them, great. But that's what networking should be about. Like not, okay, how can this person help me? Right. And I'm going to call them when I need something.
Yeah.
That's true. No, that's true. Awesome. Kayla, you have anything else on your end?
Yes, I actually do. So you mentioned you're an FAU and FSU alumni. What advice would you give to students who were looking to enter the legal field?
Network.
That's your
network.
yeah.
I didn't get my job in law school. I didn't get it because of my grades.
Yeah.
The law clerk position, I didn't get it because of, I wrote something out saying I got it because I knew someone who knew somebody that liked me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great advice.
They offered me a job because out of law school, I didn't take it, but they offered me another job after I graduated. So I would say network from even before you want to, go to law school.
Yeah.
That's true. No,
Very
100%.
true.
One thing that I wanted to touch upon was the injury advocates. So what was the inception of that? And, you already had Darfoor, Law Firm kind of growing. And then, you're like, you know what? I want to kind of create this separate brand, right? Where it's still married to Darfoor. What's the goal with the injury advocates?
So
yeah,
right?
But they don't.
That is true. I don't.
So, you in any industry or any business, you should have a brand, right?
Yeah.
That defines like your company,
Yeah.
right? So people have to understand what Darfoor Law Firm is about, and we are the people that advocate for people that have been injured, the injury advocates, and that's our brand, right? We were after many years practicing, I'm like, all right, I have a firm, but like people know me as Darfoor, but they don't know exactly what it is that Darfoor stands for. And so the injury advocates is all just to tell the story of the company, what we do, how we do it, and so forth. It's our brand that we position ourselves to do. So we haven't changed our law firm name or anything like that. The injury advocates is the branding part of the business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say we know, because we helped create the branding for Darfoor and for the injury advocates. So all the great graphics and everything, the Real design team has done a great job when it comes to that.
Yes, they have, from the inception. So, all the different iterations of our logos. Literally, on our websites.
Literally, personally, I put the logo on his first office, the Darfoor Law. I remember we printed that out, and that was like a proud moment. We squidgeeing that thing out on the window. I was like, I think we actually messed up the first time. I was like, we had to redo it. I was like, dang, I'm gonna have to reprint it. I was like, it's my first time too. I'm gonna focus on digital. I don't do print. But yeah, I mean, that's, when you see it come to life, and then now you have signage and everything. I mean, even your car, right? The fact that your car stands out, people see it, it's like it's free branding as you're driving by, you're just kind of marketing it.
It's like a mobile billboard, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's awesome. But No, I mean, I think we're good to wrap it up there. Listen, I thank you for joining us on the Unfiltered podcast. If anything, this is literally what we wanted to do, is highlight entrepreneurship in Fort Lauderdale. I don't think that it's being spotlighted enough. I think everybody talks about Miami, and then they talk about other parts of the world, but Miami is not Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah,
if anything, I think Fort Lauderdale has been evolving to the point where it might even overcome Miami to a certain point, because it's fresh, it's new. A lot of people are moving here, and then Miami is one of those things like New York. It's a mutt. It's like you have old and new, and yes, it's beautiful and all of that, but it's still going through an evolution of like, what is it really going to be 10, 20 years from now? Yeah. There's places that like before you like, oh, let's go to Alapata, let's go to Kendall or Hialeah. It's like, oh, I don't want to go there. Now it's all being, gentrified and everything. Yeah. Fort Lauderdale, I think, is the hidden brother or little sister, or however you want to call it, where it's kind of like, it's just evolving on its own. It's kind of like a clean slate.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see the difference. You're in Fort Lauderdale, and you're in Miami. So, so that's when it comes to it, we're gonna get to the point where people are gonna be like, yeah, Fort Lauderdale is where you want to be at.
Yeah, there's a lot more people moving up to Fort Lauderdale, right? Yep. For various reasons.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate us, dropping by and
of course. Now you feel sore. Your car Darfour.
That's right.
That's a wrap.
Very
all right, guys.
Good.
Thank you very much.